You are listening to the Postcast, presented by the Locked On Senators podcast and the Glebe Central Pub. Make sure you check out the Glebe Central Pub at 779 Bank Street. Great food, tasty drinks, and the Send Shuttle. $17 gets you round trip from downtown to the CTC. Check them out, GlebeCentralPub.com and 779 Bank Street. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller, breaking down another Sens loss. 4-2 the final score tonight in St. Louis, and they were lucky to be down one after the first period. They get scored on two unanswered to start the second period. Then they finally get on the board. They give us that shimmer of hope, Pilsy, but then as quick as they give it, they take it away. Pilsy, how'd you see this one devolve?
Ross, there was no shimmer of hope. There was no glimmer of hope. There was no glimpse of hope. Hope was not involved in this game. As soon as the St. Louis Blues go up 1-0, the game's over. We talked about it. This is a team that's now 13-1 when they score first. Oh yeah, when the Blues scored first, it was 11-0 in shots. We talked about this team packing their bags for the road trip, Ross. The players were still zipped up inside their bags. This team was not ready to go. Brady Tkachuk had to fight yet another scrub just to hope that this team could make it better than 4-1. That was the goal. Let's just lose less. What a joke this team is.
Well, they did. They got that late goal that was revealed.
Congrats.
What a waste of about 5 minutes of everybody's lives.
Complete waste of time. Yeah. I think that was just a pity goal. They're like, well, we've already kind of wasted this time. Let's just give it to them, because that seemed like a high stick.
The only thing that would have been worth it is if Jordan Binnington completely flipped. I feel like if he had a shutout and that happened, he would have flipped. But because there's
no reason for Binnington to flip. He's like, this is a easy breezy game.
So what now?
For the Blues.
What do the Sens do, right? It's 4-2, and they play in less than 24 hours in Dallas against a team that's been sitting at home waiting since Monday.
I don't know. Tomorrow's not going to be good. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be so ugly up against a Dallas Stars team after. I don't think the Stars played tonight. So
no, they didn't play since Monday.
Yeah.
They've just been sitting home.
Sorry. I must have missed that. I was checking out the chat. The Sens are on the second half of back-to-back, and the Dallas Stars are well-rested at home. And
sorry. They played – oh, no, that's Saturday. I went back even further. Yeah, I was like, oh, yeah, Vegas just kicked their ass. No, they didn't. They haven't played since Monday. They beat Detroit Monday, and they've just been chilling at home, and they obviously have a much better team. Here's where I'll go with this.
Okay.
And I want people in the chat to kind of help us navigate this, because I don't really feel like having this be a pity party. I'm not really in the mood to just, what the heck's going on? And I'm feeling very DJ Smith about this. I'm just going to sit here, I'm going to chew my gum and hope it gets better. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hope it gets better. We're going to watch the game tomorrow night. Hopefully it's not the exact same thing afterwards. But what I'll say is there's been too many times this season where late in the game, I'm hoping it gets worse. Yeah. That is the ultimate sign that something's wrong. I'm hoping it gets worse so that something changes and maybe it can get better. We can get into the individual efforts tonight, because I think the coach is almost like it's easier to fire one coach or harp on one coach than it is to harp on 18 individual skaters. And that's about the amount of skaters that could be better than they're being right now. I'd say Claude Giroux, Mathieu Joseph, Jake Sanderson, are playing to the level that you would hope. Otherwise, not many guys. I'll throw Ridley Gregg in there. He's looked decent. I was going to say maybe Ridley. Injury.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys who are passengers out there, Pilsy. And until that changes, this is going to be the same result. Like Jacob Chikrin's getting, roasted in the chat, and rightfully so.
Yeah, he's been bad. Yeah. And Ross, two of those guys you mentioned are still on their entry-level contracts.
But let's talk about Chikrin for a second. Even in the offensive zone, he is putting grenades on his teammates' sticks. And I think that's a microcosm of the entire problem for this team. Their passing is so bad. And that's forcing giveaways. It's bad zone entries, bad exits, bad everything.
That's one of the things that drives me nuts, Ross. You know this, and I think it maybe even too much. I get upset about this, but the bullet passes that are unnecessary, and Chicken's the worst for it. Like, it's just a D to D pass with no one around in your own end, breaking it out of the zone. You don't need to throw a slap shot at the guy every single time. Just give him a good, solid pass that he can cradle on a stick and accept and keep going in stride. Like, no one's able to stop these passes from Chickern, let alone handle them. It's wild. And there's a couple times tonight where, like we talked about, I think whether it was an episode or a postcast, Ross, I can't remember. I can't keep track of which time we've been disappointed in Chikrin. This is not the Chikrin that was advertised and that the Senators saw last season, and the Chikrin that they paid the price they did for. He hasn't been the same, and I don't know whether it's because Shabbat's out and his role has changed, and maybe that's not what he was expecting, but either way, it hasn't been good. And they've put him with Artem Zub, who typically is a guy that most defensemen can play at least a solid, responsible game with. And that doesn't seem to be happening with Jacob Chikrin lately.
It's really not. And the common denominator is it's not just the guys who are here now. And you can say the people who are here before were less talented than guys who were maybe put in positions not to succeed based on a roster accumulation standpoint. But that's where the fan base, I think, turns on the coach rather quickly. It's the only thing that hasn't changed throughout this whole process of being bad for almost a decade. It's not like they've been bad for 2 years, and I get it. It is probably a little unfair to be like, hey, DJ Smith's record overall stinks. Yeah, they were bringing in bad players. They were actively tanking for a bit of that period. But the last 2 years, what's the excuse now?
Last year the excuse was injuries, Ross. Now, and rightfully so. There was a million injuries. Like, this team the call-ups were crazy. They were already out of it anyway. So, like, sure, you can use that as an excuse last year. But this year, sure, Thomas Chabot's out, and you've had Ridley Gregg, Casti, Pinto isn't available, not because of injury, but otherwise, but you can't be using those as excuses. Like, other than Chabot, the rest of those guys are role players. You've got your core. Your core has been healthy pretty much this whole time. Even Josh Norris has been around majority of the games, which is kind of an added bonus. There's no valid excuse for how this team's playing. Like, you can't be outshot 11-0 going down 1-0 in the game up against one of the worst teams in the league.
A team that scores first and wins almost exclusively.
13-1 now. Yeah.
So Ottawa scores first. All of a sudden, they're what, 1-12? Or no, 0-12 when they allow the first goal in.
What?
You're looking. Well, if that's what their record is when they score first, when they get scored on, they must not have any wins.
Yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying now. Yeah.
Right, but you can't get that. Then they go down 3-0 in this game. Like, do you even want to break down goal by goal? Like, it almost feels like it's just such a waste.
Yeah, if you don't want to, Ross, that's okay. But we do have to talk about one goal.
Sure. Which one do you want to talk about?
That is the fourth goal for the St. Louis Blues. And
we talked about the slot.
Talked about it
and go and give and go.
Yeah, I was going to say you did not do enough passes there. I talked about it in Carolina's game, the loss up against Carolina. That play where Sebastian Aho and Seth Jarvis have a 2-on-0, and Aho passes it backwards through Sandy to Jarvis, and he taps it in. Like, they're playing with their food at that point. The St. Louis Blues were playing with their food here. Buchnevich and Kyrou could, like, the fans couldn't boo him fast enough with how fast he was passing that puck back and forth with Buchnevich. And Buchnevich is just like, I can't believe we actually just did that. Right away, he points at him. He's like, we just did a 4-pass effort with no one getting a stick in the lane. Timmy and Tarasenko, their controllers die on the back check there. They're watching in awe. Like, I can't believe they did that either. And that's got to be one of the easiest goals Buchnevich ever scores. Korpisalo's biting on each pass. By the time he gets all the way back, it's a wide open net for Buchnevich. Like, that's the goal where you almost just smirk. You're like, wow, this team is this bad. Like, one of the worst teams in the NHL is doing this. to this team, and no one cares. Like Timmy and Tarasenko are like, ah, dang,
darn.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the bench and get right back on the ice. Because again, in a game like tonight, like this was Timmy's back-to-back, just brutal. And I get it; he's definitely playing with something, but maybe he should just
But
take
what?
2
Like
games off.
what do you think his injury would be? Because he doesn't
I
look
don't know.
slow out there. His hands are looking good. Like I
No,
don't.
his hands look awful. Like he's
Well,
moving them fast, but there's zero purpose to what he's doing. He's basically just, I'm gonna deke until the puck gets taken away.
but I guess that's what I'm saying is it doesn't look like a physical thing ailing him or slowing him down, right? Like everything is clicking physically, but it's just emotionally and just the decision making he's doing
Well,
seems to be the issue.
all I know is that when the decision making is that bad, the player that's responsible for that shouldn't be leading the team in ice time. Only Jake
He's leading the
Sanderson
team in
played more.
points.
Not tonight. Dash
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
No
not tonight.
points.
Yeah.
This would have been a time, and I get it. You're down 3-0. He's dash 4 with no points in the last 2 games. Like he's been a liability, and the eye test shows that as well.
I haven't noticed this from
Recent
post-game
Central Citizen.
Okay, nice. Post-game videos, he has both hands and wrist tapes. I haven't seen that. Not that I'm doubting it. I haven't noticed.
Yeah, it's
That's
brutal,
interesting.
man. Do you think he's being told too much? Like it almost feels like he's trying to do too much.
Yeah, we've talked about this consistently, Ross. Like you can tell the nights where it's not clicking for Timmy, and he's not one of those guys where if he has a bad start or a frustrating moment that he can figure it out after. It just snowballs, right? Like if he doesn't get off to a good start, he's gone emotionally. He just unravels. And I wouldn't say he did that tonight as much as he did up against in the last game. But yeah, it's tough to watch these top guys out there not being able to perform.
To say the least.
Yeah.
This was just awful, top to bottom. One of those, you want to burn the tape, but at the same time, like, you got to figure it out. How about Ridley Gregg being a +2 in a 4-2 loss? It's hilarious. Give him an assist as well. No Central standouts tonight, but we do have some funny moments to get to in this game. There's one in particular that stands out, and yeah, Paul's noting. Actually, Paul, I'm going to get to that after. I'm going to tell you about Glebe Central Pub first, but we do have to talk about that, Paul. I'll let everyone know what he's talking about after I tell you about the Glebe Central Pub, because you can go visit the Glebe Central Pub at 779 Bank Street, right in the heart of the Glebe. You can visit them for tasty food, great drinks, and they always have something going on at the Glebe Central Pub. You can follow them on social media as well as GlebeCentralPub.com. At the GlebeCentralPub.com, you can buy your tickets for the Senators Shuttle. The Senators Shuttle will be active for the December 23rd game against the Pittsburgh Penguins. That's their next home game. They will also be in use on December 29th and New Year's Eve. What a perfect night to leave your car keys at home and have a really good time. Make sure you go to the Glebe Central Pub Shuttle. Great in the heart of the Glebe, 779 Bank Street. You can also visit them for tasty food and great drinks all the time. They always have something going on, live music, open mic night, always something going on at the Glebe Central Pub. So make sure you visit them and let them know Locked On Senator sent you. They're really good to us, and we want you to make sure you're good to them as well. So Glebe Central Pub, the vibes are free at the GCP.
Nice. I like that little jingle at the end there, Ross. This episode is also brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel is the official sportsbook partner of the Locked On Podcast Network. And right now, new customers in the States can get $150 in bonus bets with any $5 money line bet that wins. That's $150 if your team wins. I wouldn't bet on the Sens. Maybe a new coach bump is what you're looking for on FanDuel. But there's so many different things you can bet on. The spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. That's where you want to do it at FanDuel. And it's not just for hockey. You can bet on football. I bet nobody had that game having so many points. I think it ended up being like 63-21, an absolute barn burn of a game. That's a game where you want the over, you want props, you want the spread. You can get all of that at FanDuel. So check it out, FanDuel.com/lockedon, and get into the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
All right, welcome back to the Postcast. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller here, breaking down a 4-2 loss. And I got to say it, Pillsy, this 4-2 loss is like lipstick on a pig for the Ottawa Senators. This was worse than a 4-2 loss. At least it felt like to me watching this game. It felt like it was a game that was so far gone. And I guess when you fall behind 3-0, that's how these games end up being. Now we're going to get to you, Tim. I appreciate it. Thank you for the donation. We appreciate that as well. But I got to get to this comment by Paul here first. Tim, we'll pull that back up. But shout out to Dr. Bob. I need to know what Dr. Bob's road record is watching the Senators, because I'm really starting to feel bad for him. Like, the Sens better be taking care of him at some point, doing something for him. This guy's passion is unrivaled. He is driving across the country right now. He is going on all 5 games on this road trip.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this could get really ugly. And shout out to Dr. Bob. I'm sure he's listening to this right now.
Yep.
It is very impressive what he's doing and how he's choosing to spend his time following around a team that doesn't love him back. I'm sorry, Bob. He doesn't love us back. They don't love us back either. But credit to you, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And everybody make sure to follow along with Dr. Bob's journey. I believe it's Dr. Bob Sends Tour on Twitter, and he's got the Insta going. And make sure to check out all the awareness he's doing for Cancer Research Society. So let's get Dr. Bob. Let's get those numbers up for him. I think he's almost at one of his most recent goals here. So let's help push him to the edge here.
Love that. You can go follow him, Dr. Bob Sends Tour. Tim F., should we be concerned that our core isn't delivering results and we lack skilled prospects in the pipeline? Did we come out of this rebuild too early? I think you could write more than a 112-page document about this rebuild. And I think when you look back, there are certainly mistakes made. Many mistakes have been made. That said, there's still a really good core. I believe in this core. And I was thinking about it, and you look and like all of their pedigrees precede them, right? It's not like the Senators, like, for example, who would be a guy that, like, I'm thinking of, like, they don't really have any of these guys on their roster, like a Pajot back in the day, where it's like you developed him from a 3rd round, 4th round pick into a guy who's an everyday contributor, right? All the guys who Ottawa's relying on in their core, like a Zub, I guess, would be the simplest thing. But even he had an Olympic gold medal by the time he was brought over.
Are you talking about Drake Batherson?
I guess, but even he was he was one of the best players at the World Juniors, gold per game, gold medal, right? He had a bit of a reputation that preceded him. Brady Tkachuk, captain at the U.S. program, gold medalist. Obviously his bloodline, everything. Jake Sanderson, captain at the U.S. program, elite at North Dakota, right?
These are picks, yeah.
These are good hockey players.
Yeah.
That's why I always go back to coaching, because good hockey players, when you put them all on the same team, they should be a good team. Ottawa's got, you could argue, a future Hall of Famer in Claude Giroux. If he continues, point per
definitely
game.
Future Hall of Famer, yeah.
Vladimir Tarasenko, I couldn't actually believe it. They pulled up that stat. He's 5th all time in St. Louis Blues points.
Yeah, dude.
He's got a Stanley Cup.
He's a gamer.
They have players. That's the thing. When you have all these players on one team, they should be a good team. They shouldn't be 25th in the league in point percentage.
No, absolutely not. And to kind of answer Tim's question here, did we come out of the rebuild too early? I don't think so. Like, how long?
Have.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, how long can you stay in a rebuild? Like, this team couldn't hold any more picks and prospects. They had so many picks and prospects. A lot of these guys, like Ross and I, have done a lot of research on the draft, especially with that being a main focus of this franchise since we started this podcast. Like, that 2020 draft, in our eyes at least, they hit it out of the park. Like, there's so much talent. Like, that was the draft that was supposed to define this franchise. And they stocked up on guys, and we thought, okay, they have so much ammo in the pipeline now. Even if one or two or a few of these guys don't exactly work out, they're going to be able to figure it out. And it just seems like this is a collection of shiny prospects that are now in the NHL, but it's not a team. Like, you've got guys, but you don't have a team. And that's what it feels like to me. Like, all these guys are good players, but they're not able to work in a way that they're able to execute. And that's like you say, Ross, that comes down to coaching. Exactly. Yeah. Like, it's almost like those Olympic rosters you see where they just put like a million all-star players on a roster, and you just have guys that don't have proper roles, guys that feel like they should have elevated roles, and it's this big awkward thing. I'm not saying necessarily that's going on with the Sens, but it just feels like this, like Pierre Dorion saying we are a team. That's sweet. That actually is a great comment when you're looking now. This does not seem like a team at all. And for Brady to have to fight Tucker, a guy I'd never heard of till we did today's episode, Ross.
I called him Tyson.
Yeah, exactly. Like, no disrespect to the guy, but just for Brady Tkachuk to have to fight that guy and then scream at his bench just to get going. And that's a rare fight, Ross, where Brady actually, he caught a few punches in a row from Tucker. Like, you got to give stick taps to Tucker. There was a section of that fight where Tucker lands like 4 punches in a row, and then Brady just loses it. He just starts swinging, and then his helmet pops off, and then Brady takes over the fight. But like, he shouldn't have to do that to get things going.
I know. He really shouldn't. I mean,
he can't be the guy that's doing it either.
Tucker's a big Thunder Bay boy, so you know they eat their deer and everything up there. No, all jokes aside, but you got a situation where
chicken eats deer apparently, and how good is that?
I mean, we don't know if Tucker's passing the puck 300 miles an hour.
Yeah,
it's wild to see. Like, he needs coaching like that. He's the perfect example here, because Jacob Chikrin, man, I don't know what is going on with him. He has so many raw tools. It's like his diet. Everything's raw, but nothing's like put together and cohesive.
He's playing like a vegan out there, though.
Ooh, yeah. So all that to say, this is tough. Should I say my classic line? The best part about tonight's loss is that they play again tomorrow.
Is that the best part? Like, I'm not that excited for tomorrow's game.
Why not?
We're going to get spanked, dude.
Right, but it'll be a new spanking.
I've had enough.
Like, Senators are 8th right now in the Tankathon standings.
Yeah, like this team can never trade their first-round picks ever again.
No, you actually can't.
Like, the fact that the last 3 first rounds is a traded 12th overall, a traded 7th overall, and an 11th or 10th overall pick that hasn't panned.
We don't know where he is. Yeah, he's in witness protection.
Yeah, we don't know where he is. Hasn't panned out the way we had hoped.
He doesn't play hockey.
Yeah, I don't.
Scott's asking if we're hitting the panic button.
I know. I didn't want this to come to this.
I can't believe there's 200 people here watching this at 1 o'clock.
I want to say this to the people.
You guys are sick. You guys are sick people.
The only reason I'm not hitting the panic button is because I feel like I need to wait for the right time. It just feels too early to hit the panic button. But I don't want people to think me not hitting the panic button is me thinking that this team can bounce back and make P words. They can't make P words. They're absolutely out of that discussion. They need to hold on to their first round pick and try to get morale victories and hope to play in meaningful games.
I thought you were going to say they got to get Mackling Celebrini.
Sure.
One spin.
I don't even know if that would help.
One spin?
Should I spin this? I don't even care. I'm not even going
to. We dropped a 9. Hey, there we go. 2nd overall. That's good.
Chicago gets first again. Sweet.
Yeah, could you imagine?
That's what everybody wants.
Let's see how many. Yeah, it's just sad times right now, man. It really is, because you had so much hope going in. I got to give credit to this. This was a great. I retweeted it at Sens Central. It was at Sens Monster. Lock Sens Monster. He goes, me and my buddies thinking the Sens would be good this year.
The clowns.
And the clown convention. It's the World Clown Convention. Remember when DJ Smith told us that he runs the Tampa Bay Lightning system?
No.
Yeah. He's like, I run the same system as Tampa Bay, so maybe you should, it works for them.
What, Guy Boucher's Tampa Bay Lightning?
Man, Guy Boucher orchestrated 2 goals in the last 2 minutes of the game for Toronto to tie it and take it to overtime. Guy Boucher was looking fierce in that little meeting he had. least he shows emotion.
Yeah.
Like DJ, even early in this game, the Senators' second penalty that they took, it was okay. But if I was the coach, I'd set the tone because the game had not been going their way. At least do something. Take the pressure off the players and put it on yourself. You know what I mean? Like within the game, you can do little things as a coach that, like John Cooper, we always laugh, but it works. Like he always lawyers the refs. He's always talking, always buttering them up. DJ literally just stands there.
Yeah.
There's no oomph. I mean, we talked about it back when it was Paul Maurice, right, against Florida. Like if the shoe was on the other foot, he would have been going nuts that game. When it was 5-0, all the fights happening. DJ does nothing. He's like, what? What'd you say? Oh, anyone can shoot? Okay, I'll put Norris out. Oh, yeah, guess I can't.
Yeah, I feel like he's just like a dead man walking, Ross. So like why would he care?
Our guy over in Aussie land, Danny Moneyworth is his handle here, but Jimmy Hyde. He said it's cruel punishment at this point to keep trotting him out there.
Yeah, honestly.
Who has more job security, DJ Smith or Bill Belichick?
Well, Belichick reportedly is done after this season. DJ Smith, yeah, definitely.
It's wild. It's actually wild. You have any standouts from tonight's game, Pilsy?
No, I mean we talked about Giroux and Joseph had decent games, but I mean,
not even Giroux. I don't think Giroux was 30% in the dot dash too.
Yeah,
he's okay.
Joseph, I think, would be the top guy.
Yeah, Joseph was decent. Batherson, I thought, was decent.
I feel like Ross, like this, like what's gonna happen to the lineup when Pinto comes back?
Oh, I don't even want to know.
Greg's gonna shift to the wing, right? You're not gonna play Greg fourth line center. So then what happens with Kubalik? Because you're not going to put Joseph down. Like Kubalik just ends up being a random extra guy. Like I feel like this team needs a good two-way third line player. Like they have too many guys that are supposed to score goals that aren't scoring goals, and then they're useless. Like kind of like Kubalik, right? Like I don't know their way out of this.
Well, we'll discuss more tomorrow. Any final thoughts on the postcast, brother?
This game was over so quick. It was over in the first period when the Blues are up 1-0. 11-0 is the shot totals here. Brady Tkachuk has to fight a scrub just to get the Sens to score 2 goals. One of them really is just the refs being pitiful and not wasting time and just allowing it so that people can get going home. This team is a joke.
And that's what we'll leave it at for tonight. But hey, we'll do it all over again tomorrow. We appreciate everyone for being with us at the chat this late. We really do appreciate it. Senators lose 4-2 to the St. Louis Blues tonight. They outshoot the Blues 34-30, but they just can't get anything done. Let us know in the comments what you think is the main reason why the Senators just can't keep getting results. We also need to figure out a loss song for the
we need a loss song. We can't trot out that music.
We need a loss song. So we'll get to that, Pilsy. We'll get to that. But for today, we say goodbye. It's a 4-2 loss in St. Louis. The Ottawa Senators lose. I'm Ross Levitan. That's Brandon Piller. This has been the Postcast presented by the Locked On Senators podcast and the Glebe Central Pub. Make sure you visit the Glebe Central Pub right in the heart of the Glebe, 779 Bank Street. Great food, great vibes, and the Sens shuttle bus, $17 round trip to and from the CTC.